Hey guys, and welcome to another very special episode of the Mama's Geeky Show. Today I am going to talk to Leslie Bacardi. Now, you may have already seen my review and my interview with the cast for Two Hearts. You just go to twoheartsthefilm.com for all the information. But today I get to talk to the real life Leslie, and I gotta admit, you guys, just wait for this interview because she totally made me cry, just like this movie did. So if you haven't already seen the movie, first of all, you totally should. But first, check out my interview with Leslie. She's so nice, and I'm so thankful that she took the time to chat with me. Hey, Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel.
Hi, Tessa. Leslie.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
And so thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for your interest. My goodness.
I loved the movie. I thought it was great. It made me cry like almost the whole time.
I've seen it I don't know how many times, and I still cry. I know the story and know the ending.
Right. Well, you lived the story, so it's got to mean so much more to you to like
I have
on the screen. Yeah. So how did you feel when you first found out they were going to be making a movie?
Well, actually, we met some friends on a cruise. We had never thought about doing a movie at all. And we met some friends on a cruise, and they got to know us and wanted to know my husband's story and our story. And it just so happened that it was the Hool family, and they own a movie studio in New Mexico.
Well, there you go.
And they were like, we need to tell your story. This needs to happen. We need to tell your story. And finally, over time, they convinced us that we needed to tell this story. And that's how it happened. I mean, tend to be very private individuals. So doing something like this was really far out for us to do. But our hopes were that it would spread enough information and good news and, happiness and everything else to make it worthwhile. So we went ahead and did it.
Yeah, well, I think in 2022 especially, we need stories like this. It's been quite a year. And I will tell you, I checked immediately after watching the movie. I went, I'm an organ donor, right? Okay, I am. Like, I made sure it's, and I've told my husband, I make sure you're an organ donor. And so I think
well, then you see, so that movie has already made a difference. If one person like you did that, and if something, heaven forbid, ever happened to you, and you did donate an organ, right there, you've already saved somebody. So
yeah, and I hope a lot of people take that from this. And is that what you hope people take from it too?
That is our main purpose, that we hope people will do that. And the other main purpose is really to honor Christopher, who was my husband's donor, and make sure that he's out there and people know what kind of a young man that was and what he gave. One person can make such a difference. He saved 5 lives, and that's one young man. So
yeah, that's impressive. That's crazy to think 5 lives from that. And I mean, they make a good point in the movie. He says, I'm not going to be using them. So why would you not give them to someone who can, basically you live on through them.
And the part maybe that you didn't get after that was, and he also said, who wouldn't want this beautiful body of mine?
That's true. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, he gave his corneas, everything, skin and tissue and tendons. So that was a lot.
It was good for him. You know what I mean? Really. And like I said, it inspired me to make sure I'm an organ donor, right? I'm an organ donor.
And it's hard for the family sometimes. I mean, the family can actually say, we don't want to do that.
Oh.
And he had 2 older brothers, and they were not crazy about the idea. It was very difficult for them. I mean, this was their baby brother that they had lost, and they were not sure about that. But his parents were sure of that and knew that that's what he wanted, and so that's what they went ahead and did.
That's great. Now, are you still in touch with the family? Do you talk to them often?
Very much so. We, have become extremely close. After we wrote to them about 2 months or so after, or 2.5 months after the transplant. And a lot of people wait for a year or more, but we couldn't imagine this family losing their young 19-year-old son and not hearing from somebody to say thank you for this gift of life. So we started writing to them right away, and we wrote back and forth for an entire year. Now, these letters are all vetted by doctors and nurses and social workers and the organ donation system and all of that. And after 1 year, they finally decided that, that was okay. You all were on your own now. And shortly after that, we flew to Maryland to meet them because they were desperate to meet somebody that had, received an organ. And since then, we have been together every year. We go to all the Gabriel House events together. And afterwards, they generally come home with us to the Bahamas, and we go off on a boating trip for a week or so. And we meet up in other parts of the world. We've done charity races before, and they'll be coming down to the Bahamas again this April, and with one of their sons and his new wife. And they're wonderful people. We were meant to be good friends. So
I love
that. Was a real bonus.
Yeah.
Not very many people get that. It was a big bonus.
I love that so much. So when they were casting, did you get to meet the actress who was going to play you and kind of help her, get in your head?
I did get to meet her, but they had already cast her after I met her. I met her on the set one day, and we were out in Vancouver going to visit to see what it was all about. She was in my little Pan Am uniform from those days, and it brought back lots of memories. She looks a lot like me, I think, anyway. Yeah. She used a lot of my mannerisms that I didn't even realize about, that other people came to me and said, oh, she did that same thing, that thing you do on my face, or you do. So, yes, she did a great job. I was thrilled, and we were thrilled with the gentleman, Adan Cantor, that played Jorge as well. And Christopher was wonderful. I mean, Jacob Elordi, they were, Carla Houle did the casting, and she did a great job.
Yeah. So was there anything obviously in movies, they usually take liberties and try to change things a little bit. Was there anything that you wish had stayed in, or anything you really liked that they added?
Well, they had to take liberties in some ways to tell the story. I mean, Jorge was only 16 when they left Cuba, so he wasn't actually going down to Cuba to help run the company. He was a little young for that, but they try, you have to try and tell the story in Hollywood. We certainly don't know how to make movies, and the Houle family do. So there were some different odd things like that. I wish that we could have had a little more time spent on the relationship that we've developed with the Gregory family and how important that relationship is and how much we've both gained from it. Mm-hmm. I wish we could have spent a little more time on the Gabriel House of Care and what goes into that and there's like an aura of Christopher in there and just those feelings. It would have been really nice to add some of that. There's just a real good feeling about all of that that people would appreciate. Or I don't know, I know you watched the movie, so you saw the moment when we met the Gregorys at the hotel. And I hope that people will go to the movie just to even watch that. It's a very ethereal moment when the two families are coming together, and you have to think about the Gregorys, and they are walking towards this man that is holding part of their son in there. Mm-hmm. And they could put their arms around Jorge, and they could feel their son alive in there. I mean, you can feel his lungs moving, and there are some really, really touching moments like that.
Oh yeah, you're making me cry right now just thinking about it. That part always gets to me, and I will tell you, after I finished, I immediately looked up the Gabriel House, and I went and I was like, okay, I need to know more about this, and so I do love that they added that stuff in there. But man, it's so touching.
Well, it is meant to honor Christopher, and the reason it's called the Gabriel House is when Jorge first had his transplant, we would go out and go for walks to build up his stamina and use these lungs, and we would be talking about him, and we would say, that boy, I wonder what his family's doing. I hope they're all right. That boy was incredible that he, was so young and still, thought so far ahead to be an organ donor. And we looked at each other and said, we have to stop calling him that boy. We need to come up with a name for him. So Jorge came up with the name of Gabriel, his little angel there for him. And that was how it got to be called Gabriel House of Care, because that was the first name that we knew that we gave Christopher.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And it was fitting. And last I want to say, is there any message that you want people to take from Two Hearts?
Well, I hope and love and don't ever stop fighting. Try and give back whenever you can. Remember how much difference just one person can make. Mm-hmm. When you go home tonight, maybe think about something good about somebody instead of looking for the bad things in them. Look for the good things. Look at your neighbor and think, wow, they keep that house so nice and clean, instead of like, I hate that dog barking in there. I mean, just something positive and hopeful, and to really become an organ donor.
Mm-hmm. I second that. So
yeah,
it's such a great film. It's such a message, such heart. Obviously, it made me cry, but I think it's fantastic. And thank you so much. Seriously, Leslie, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And so you can tell your friends and your audience that they can go on to the internet and just go to twoheartsthefilm.com and find out where they can go and see this movie.
Yeah.
Get some of those feelings and some good things and some depth.
Yep, and have a good cry, because sometimes that's a good thing.
And there's a few things to laugh at in there.
Yes,
as well.
There is. Oh, there's some. Jacob was hilarious. He was fantastic.
He was very clever, very good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks very much, Tessa. Bye now.
Bye-bye.